This is a battle between good and evil that is happening in the United States, and there's a very clear divide between Republican politicians and Democrat politicians. There's a very clear divide between the political elite in the swamp. The left is obviously very socialist, and the right, except for maybe like Liz Cheney, right, and Adam Kinzinger, and maybe Mitt Romney, although I don't think he's a true socialist, I just think he's an idiot. Aside from them, there's a very clear divide that Republicans are on the good side and Democrats are on the side of Marxism and socialism and racism. But what about the people? This is very interesting because the voters are not actually represented by our elected officials. It is not a divide, a very clear-cut, straight line down the middle between Republican voters and Democrat voters outside of the Beltway. Republican voters, in large part, yes, are against socialism. But Democrat voters are not just because they vote for Democratic politicians who support socialism. The Democratic voters themselves are not necessarily for socialism. And nowhere is this more evident than in the state of Florida. DeSantis is responding to this disaster in a very competent, very effective, very quick way. You'll notice that the left is actually having a hard time finding a way to criticize what DeSantis is doing. That's why we talked about last week. That's why The View brought up some old quote of DeSantis about climate change and not being in the pews of the climate change alarmism church. That's what they were using to attack DeSantis because, oh, it must be his fault. Mother Earth must have known he criticized the climate change alarmists, and that's why Hurricane Ian struck Florida. Just the thinnest, most pathetic arguments that you can possibly imagine. But the voters in Florida see what DeSantis is doing. They see that he is not distributing aid based on political affiliation, and he is not engaging in racial discrimination when it comes to disaster aid from the state government. And so this is what at least one Black Democrat voter in Florida thinks of the whole situation.
Not DeSantis, but that gas is here in Arcadia. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it's here in Arcadia. So y'all know who we vote for. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm voting for DeSantis, and I'm a Democrat. So y'all can call it what the y'all want to call it.
We got children out
Okay,
here.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay, actually my favorite part of that is actually the end, when some woman in the background goes, hey, we got children out here, because the guy's like cursing up a storm. Best part of the whole video. So this is actually really interesting. This is a video that the mainstream media certainly won't play. The Democrats are probably paranoid that you will see, because what is this video? This video is a Black voter in the state of Florida who openly says he's a Democrat, who says, listen, which politician is helping? Which politician is serving the constituents that he took an oath to serve? And that politician is DeSantis. He said, I don't know who you blankety blanks are voting for, but I'm voting for DeSantis and I'm a Democrat. That, I mean, you'd love to see it. That's exactly what a politician is supposed to be doing. Not using a natural disaster, a tragedy, a crisis in people's lives. People's lives have been ruined by this hurricane. Do you know what it feels like? What kind of violation it feels like to lose your stuff? To have your house destroyed, this flooding wreck your neighborhood, your city just unrecognizable in the aftermath? And what are the Democrats doing? They're being political. And what are the Republicans doing? Well, DeSantis is helping people. You'll find that this is actually what voters want in politicians. Democrat voters don't want socialism and equity. They don't want transgenderism and critical race theory. They want a politician who is going to help them live their lives. And that's what DeSantis is doing right now.